What morbid fact do you know? NSFW. In Formula 1, safety belts were not mandatory until 1972. Before then, drivers believed it better to be ejected in a crash, and either die instantly from a broken neck or suffer many broken bones. The alternative, they thought, was to be trapped and essentially cremated alive should the gas tanks ignite. As a striker saw cuts through the skull cap during an autopsy, the smell created is exactly like fritters. On empty Everest, you have the Rainbow Valley, the last zone to climb to reach the peak, which sounds cute but it's really the colorful jackets of dead climbers who are frozen in time against the white harsh snow. Also, when close to the peak, the oxygen levels are so low that the body is starting to die. You only have a few minutes to reach the top. You can die from pooping too hard. If you electrocute someone while they are submerged in water, it won't leave burn marks. A professor at my lecture today said that deer will lay on decaying corpses because they produce heat and the deer like that. Basically, deer treat corpses as their personal sauna. Judith Barty was the young actress who voiced Anne-Marie in All Dogs Go to Heaven and Ducky in The Land Before Time. She was murdered at the age of 10 by her abusive father, who also killed her mother at the same time. Judith's gravestone displays Ducky's catchphrase, "Yep, yep, yep." There is a phenomenon in the Philippines of people being murdered after singing My Way by Frank Sinatra in karaoke bars. There's been multiple cases of people actually ending up being eaten by an escalator. When you blush, the lining of your stomach also turns red. A body can swell to 3 times its normal size, especially if the person passes away in a bathtub. If you want to dump a body, it can take up to 2-4 weeks to fully decompose if out in the open. But if you bury it in a casket, it can take up to 44 years. In some cultures, they practice cannibalistic rituals. They believe eating their deceased loved ones is an honor. It's called endocannibalism. It's not uncommon for men to nut after they die. After the Pulse nightclub shooting, when the cops were investigating, you'd think it was pretty quiet in there. It was actually a cacophony of ringing cell phones. So many friends and loved ones calling people they knew were there, hoping they'll answer the phone and say they're okay. The dolphin from the television show Flipper committed suicide. Being the oldest person alive means that every single human being who was alive at the day you were born has now died. The astronauts of Space Shuttle Challenger didn't die until the spacecraft hit the ocean. They fell through the air for almost 3 minutes. The male dragonflies scoop out the sperm of their rival out of their mate. Atomic bombs leave shadows after evaporating the victims. You can skin many creatures, including humans, alive. They will stay alive for longer than you'd think, even if you're rough. Longer if you're careful. Edit. I've never done this. Never will. Don't worry. Just know from the internet. Cyanide tastes sweet. Before you die, your last words could be, "I don't feel so good." I was a paramedic for 15 years and heard dozens of people's final words. The phrase I heard most often, possibly from half to 3/4 of them, was some form of "I don't feel so good." I've also heard, "Wait, something's wrong. Something's happening. I don't feel right. Wait, something's wrong. It's happening. Oh no. Oh number people feel the blood leaving their brain, I think. Must be like a rush. A butter knife can cut off a finger with enough perseverance. Burned human flesh smells like pork. Only 43% of the total cells in your body are actually a part of you. More than half of you is foreign bacteria, viruses, and fungi. In the event of a water landing, flight attendants are specifically required to not allow dead bodies on the life rafts. No saving your dead parent, child, spouse for burial. Yeet that bitch overboard. Tumors try their best to be mini humans while now growing mini organs, hair, teeth, etc. As of 2007, when I found this out, there was 7 recorded case of a necropedoscatosadomasochist. Not sure how to write this whiteout getting deleted. So gore as duck stuff in spoiler and X200B exclamation point. 7 people reported beating themselves up while raping dead baby corpse covered in sh*t. Yup, 7 of them. You're welcome. And X200B. Edit. I hadn't looked in a while, but I was able to find out the total went up to around 20 by 2015. But haven't really looked deep into those, so grain of salt required. The person who killed Amber Hagerman has still never been found. Electrosurgery. Google Bovie. is common in more vascularized procedures because the instrument parts tissue and cauterizes in the process. A surgical grasper instrument can be electrified to pinch bleeding vessels. The blood boils at the pinch and the vessel is sealed and cauterized. Eventually the operating room smells like barbecue. The song Baby Shark is actually the perfect rhythm to guide infant CPR. If you eat 52 apple seeds you'll die also. You can take a package of cigarettes, dump the tobacco out, and heat it up and strain it so that only a white substance is left. About a teaspoon of that in somebody's coffee is unnoticeable, and it'll kill them. Death by nicotine. Female dragonflies fake their own death to prevent rape. When you're aware of just how dangerous escalators are, it's pretty surprising that they exist. If you get caught in one, you just die. It sucks you in. Meanwhile, elevators are the safest way of any mechanical travel. When they embalm people they just dump all the juices in the sewer. Not morbid but unnerving. At any time without any warning you can die of a brain aneurysm and there is literally nothing you can really do about it. Anyone can have one. Brain-eating amoeba exist and you can track them from swimming in lakes or tainted tap water. They live in the US and UK. Human taste like veal, and taste different depending on what part you eat, similar to pigs or cows. When you die your stomach will digest itself. When whales reach a certain age they will eventually be too weak to swim back to the surface for air, so they will just suffocate to death and eventually sink to the bottom of the ocean. But at least when they sink to the bottom of the ocean their bodies will create sprawling ecosystems that will last for a good few years. I have heard that bears doesn't kill you. They basically eat you and you eventually die. Rigor mortis feels weird to touch. Long story short, my cat got ran over and died, and my roommate found him on the road and brought him home. Couldn't find the strength to touch him without crying for a day or two, so he lay dead in my backyard. When I finally did man up, his body was stiff, kind of hard in some places, and soft in others. Blood clotting from what I found out later. Long time ago, but fitting for this. Every dog you knew in your childhood is most likely dead. Edit fine. Above a certain age. Drownings are not painless or clean. The second person to go over Niagara Falls in a barrel surviving with very serious injuries was Bobby Leach 15 years later. He slipped on an orange, not banana peel on the street. This fall caused a leg infection so bad he eventually passed away from the medical complications it caused. There are so many people being added to special lists after reading all these answers. If you plan to donate your body they generally only want you if you are the right size and aren't obese. Looking into donating my body to science led to some crazy details. Also your family has to pay for your cremation if you want your body to go home. Also don't plan on dying far away from where you plan to donate, they really don't want to ship you. The Dorian Gray effect. If you freeze a dead body it will start to decompose exponentially when thawed to catch up to where it should be in the decomposition process. Your digestive system is one long unbroken tube from mouth to anus with a sphincter muscle on each end. Basically your mouth is just the other side of your butthole. Going by pure logic you will suffocate if you break your neck, so no instant death. Dolphins are rapists who also sometimes gang rape. The gang rape can last for days. I actually hate dolphins. You are 20x more likely to die of homicide or die broke if you win a very large amount in the lottery. https www.reddit.com or AskReddit-comments/24vo34/ what's the happiest 5-word sentence you could hear? CHB4V05 UTM medium equals Android app and UTM source equals share. You can tell someone is dead by trying to move their jaw. It's one of the first body parts to show signs of rigidity. There's brain-eating amoeba in a lot of the water around you. Anywhere that doesn't use enough cleaner in the water supply. A lot of lakes and rivers. It's everywhere. People just don't get it often because it has to get to the barrier way in the back of your nose to get inside you. That's why you always boil before using a neti pot. That a deceased human body can take between 24-48 hours to decompress, releasing the remaining blood, urine, and fecal matter, depending on the situation, position, and method of death. I'm also aware of how quickly flied maggot larvae attach and breed on decomposing bodies. Worse yet, I'm also aware how to clean all of these things from a home to make it seem as though it didn't actually happen. That you turn into death soup when buried in a casket. I'm pretty sure this is somewhat common knowledge, but undergoing chemotherapy, mostly putting poison into a person's just enough to kill the cancer and hopefully not kill the person. Some forms of chemo even use arsenic. When microwaves first came out, people didn't quite grasp how they worked. There was several cases of old ladies drying off their cats and them. Everyone involved in the making of The Wizard of Oz is dead. When obese people are cremated, their body can cause a grease fire because the amount of fat they have is so much. The arms of dead people still move up to 48 hours after death. Someone else's brain fluid in your eye stings. I witnessed an accident rural, sliding down an embankment and up. I found the pile of mush wedged in the door. It was a human. I clicked my bic, could not believe what I saw and let it go out. As soon as I touched his neck for a pulse, something squirted right into my eye. I checked again with one eye open, bic lit. His head was malformed and it popped fluid out. When cops arrived, they wouldn't let any loved ones identify. Truly gruesome.